Hi, everyone. We are going to be starting in about 6 minutes. In the meantime, would love to know where everyone is joining us from. You can head over to the chat section or the Q&A section to tell us about where you're joining us from, and we'll get you guys started very soon. Just going to be waiting for a few more people to join in, and we're going to be starting in about 4 to 5 minutes exactly. I just want to do a very quick check-in. Are you able to hear me? If you are able to hear me, just drop in a yes. Thank you. Awesome. So we're on time right now, or we just wait for a couple of minutes for more folks to join in, and then we will be getting started. We will be on our way to talking about what's hurting your Amazon performance. Awesome. So while we are just getting ready for a few more folks to join in, I would love to see if you have certain expectations from the webinar. If you're looking at learning something specific today, please feel free to drop it in the comment section, so that we're able to cover the things that you are looking to understand today. It's going to be starting in about a minute. All right. Well, let's get started. Hi everyone. I'm Neha Bhutcher. I am the co-founder and CEO at Atom 11. We are an advertising automation software, and in this webinar series, we talk about all things Amazon. Now, in the previous webinars, if some of you have already attended it, we've had multiple guests and multiple different sessions where we've talked about things like how to audit your Amazon ads account, or how to optimize your Amazon account. And when I say optimize your Amazon ads account, I don't mean the basic bid up and bid down kind of optimization techniques. I'm talking like really advanced and very specific optimization techniques that we had from some of our guests. We have talked about how once you have a Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale, and after the Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale, there is a slump that you see. How do you avoid those kind of slumps? We've had industry experts come in and talk about, what is retailer-aware advertising and how can you incorporate that. So today's webinar is no different. We are going to be talking about what's really hurting your Amazon performance and hashtag it's not your bids. So just before we get started, once this webinar is over, you are going to get a complete copy of this presentation. This presentation is a heavy presentation because we are going to have videos within this presentation. So there is going to be a link that will be shared with you where we will be posting this PPT. So let's get started with our session today. Now, before I get started, right, I think this is something that I call out in literally every single webinar or every single speaker session, wherever I go. Amazon performance, it depends on so many different parameters, and advertising is just a part of it, not the whole story. And if you were to look at this image, you will know, right? Amazon's performance starts with the content quality, the actual product quality, product reviews, your bestseller rank, your returns, which is your ODR, right? Your content quality. How, if your product is great, that's amazing. That's one part of the battle won. But how are you showcasing that product, right? What is the quality of your content? Do you have a good title, bullet points, images, A+ content? Once you have a good product and a good content quality, then what is the kind of pricing? Is it within the price elasticity of your customers, or is it higher or lower? What is your competition doing at all times? That impacts your Amazon performance every single day. What is your inventory health like? External signals, what are you doing outside of Amazon? That impacts your performance on Amazon. Search rank. And then amongst all of this, there is one more parameter, which is advertising, right? So either it's sponsored product, sponsored brand, sponsored display, DSP ads, whatever. But I think this becomes one part of the whole picture, which is, internal and external parameters that impact your performance. And that's why I think one of the things that I always say is that, whatever you do, whatever tech stack you use, definitely invest in something which is a good root cause analyzer. So without getting into a lot of details, I would love to kind of show you how, you can do very quick root cause analysis of why your sales are increasing or dropping. Sales can increase or decrease due to multiple reasons, right? Like we just discussed, it could be because of your content quality. It could be because of your, your product quality itself, your ratings, your reviews, your inventory, your buy box percentage, so many different things. And so knowing or having a way to understand why your sales dropped is important. And I think what you have on the screen here is that, the ability to just add in an ASIN and figure out what is impacting that sales. So for example, you'll see how on Atom 11, we break things down into traffic metrics and then conversion metrics, because literally sales on Amazon is equal to traffic into conversion, right? So just going to wait for a second. So here are your traffic analysis, where we are looking at things like advertising, clicks, organic page views, stock, buy box percentage, search volume from SQPR. And then we get into conversion analysis, where we discuss ACoS, we discuss pricing, delivery timelines, so on and so forth. And once these things, you're able to see all of this holistically, you know exactly why your sales dropped, right? And then instead of just increasing or decreasing your bids, you are able to take the right action. So for example, if reviews and ratings, or if stock out is the real problem, then that's what you're going to be solving, rather than just, upping and down in your bids to manage things short term. Right. So first things first, I think it's super important that you invest in good root cause analysis, where you're able to see things holistically in one place. Now, once you know all of this, right, I think this is not a secret anymore that Amazon advertising is getting more and more expensive over the years. This graph basically shows you how Amazon advertising CPCs have grown from $0.88 to about $1.4 of an average CPC over time. Now, 2 million plus sellers are advertising on Amazon, and everyone is paying the price of, more and more sellers on Amazon ads buying because of, higher CPCs. Now, when something is so expensive, if you are doing what everyone else is doing, then you don't have an edge, right? So 97% of the advertisers, how are they optimizing their bids? They are bidding up, bidding down, and that means there is no competitive edge. So if you are only using bids as your optimization lever, then you are missing out on a few things. And when I say bids, right, I understand there are other things like placements and budgets, but I think 90%, 95% of what you are changing on a daily basis is probably bids. And that's where I want to say that you need something more than that to actually have a competitive edge against your competitors and against Amazon, where, to counter the rising cost of CPCs. So what we are going to be discussing in this webinar is what can give you that edge, right? Now, like I said, there is this is a 2x2 graph which shows you adoption versus impact. Adoption means adoption of various features versus the impact of those features on your ACoS, on your ROI, and on your total sales. Now, adoption is highest for bids and keywords in traditional ads. Most people are using these two levers to actually optimize their ads. But I think there is one thing which is called retail aware ads. That is when you are marrying your Amazon advertising with your retail signals. When I say retail signals, I mean signals from your Seller Central or Vendor Central. And these signals could be reviews, ratings, it could be inventory, it could be buy box percentage, any of those. When you're getting those signals, you're marrying it with advertising, and you are able to run ads which are not siloed, which are de-siloed from just that advertising console. It actually is taking it inputs from Seller Central and it's more holistic. Now, we know that retail-aware advertising can give you the edge, but what are retail-aware ads? Now, when once I was talking about retail-aware ads with someone and they said, hey, what the hell is retail-aware ads? Did you just invent that word? Now, I've come from Amazon ads, right? I was a part of Amazon ads for over 6 years. And I can tell you confidently that I did not invent the word retail-aware ads. We might just have coined the term, but Amazon itself or Amazon ads itself are retail-aware. Amazon ads are already using retail signals in a small way. For example, when you stock out, Amazon automatically pauses your ads. When you lose your buy box, Amazon pauses your ads automatically. When you have a deal ASIN, Amazon silently pushes that ASIN more than the other ASINs in terms of ad spends. So all of these places, we see that Amazon is already taking some signals from your retail or from your Seller Central to ensure that the end customer as well as the advertiser, which is you, are having a good experience. So for example, if Amazon keeps running your ads when you don't have buy box, neither does the customer have a good experience, nor do you, right? Because you'll be like, I am spending money when I don't even have the buy box. And Amazon is taking that into account. Now, Amazon is already retail aware. Now, the question is, are you? And if you're not, I think in the next part of the presentation, we are going to be discussing how can you start incorporating retail signals into your ads. So in today's webinar, you will be learning which retail signals can drive the biggest ads impact, how to incorporate those signals into your ad strategy, and how to measure what's working. So we are going to be talking about 5 tried and tested strategies. The first one is optimizing for peak sales day and sales time. When I say peak sales day and time, I mean going into your Seller Central and figuring out what is your peak sales day, and going into your advertising account and figuring out what is your peak sales time, and then ensuring that you're able to actually use that into your advertising strategy. Prioritizing ASINs that match your KPI. This is by far one of my best kept secrets of how you can increase either your total sales or profitability or new to brand on through Amazon ads. Track competitor pricing and PPC cannibalization. So to ensure that you are able to actually look into real-time search ranks or real-time competitor data, and then make advertising decisions according to that. Improving first page image to improve your click-through rate, and then don't rely on one metric to measure success. So we're going to be discussing these 5 tried and tested strategies, and then ensuring that you are able to bring it into your Amazon ads and running a more holistic advertising strategy. So let's start with strategy number 1: spend more when you sell more. That's my mantra, and that is probably also your mantra. It's just that you need to now bring it down to the micro level. Now, everyone knows that when there is Black Friday and Black Friday Cyber Monday sale, you spend more, you bid up. The reason you bid up is because you know that customers who are going to come in on this day are going to be high intent, and you want to be in front of them instead of your competitor. Now, that is a macro event. A micro event is when that happens on one specific day of the week. For example, for this specific seller, Sunday is a peak sales day. So if you see the total sale, percentage of total sale is highest on Sunday, and on the rest of the days, in fact, very, very low on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then it increases over on Sunday. But what you see over here is that the spend, although it's slightly high, it's not as high as the total sales is going in. So what our recommended action is, when you want to spend more, when you sell more, is that you increase your bids on a Sunday, right? The second thing that you can do is figure out what is your low converting slot, right? When is your conversion the lowest? And when we looked into this account, we figured out that the conversion was lowest during 2 to 6 p.m. Every single day. Now, or 2 to 4 p.m., right? Now, every single day, the conversion is low during the same time. Then what you want to do at that time is reduce your bids, because your ACOS, you can control your ACOS with that. We just made these two changes on this account: bidding up on Sunday and bidding down during a time when your conversion is low, which is 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. And we were able to reduce ACOS from 18.5% to 15%. We not just reduce ACOS, we also increased ad sales by 38%. The reason we increased ad sales, and this is one of the best, one of those things where people miss out a lot. This is a strategy called day parting, where you are able to increase or decrease your bids by time of the day, right? And 99% of the people, they use this strategy to just reduce their bids when their conversion is low. But I think what they don't understand is that increasing their bids is also possible. So increasing your bids when you are going to sell more is equally important, so that you are able to increase your ad sales. This is one of those only strategies where you are able to not just control wasted spend, but also increase sales, by marrying a couple of different strategies together. And we did just that. We not only decreased bid during low converting hours, but we also increased bid during high converting hours, which is what helped us in increasing ad sales by 38%. Now, how do you take this action, right? How do you ensure that you have the data, first of all, to actually take this action? In the next 1 minute, this video is going to show you just that. So basically, you go to your business reports on Seller Central and you look at your sales data for the last 3 months. Now, when you download this data, you have to do one small thing. You have to add a column in the business report which tells you what is the day of each date. And now what you will do is, when you create a pivot, sorry, it's going too fast. I'm just going to go back. When you create a pivot by days of the week and units ordered on every day of those week in the last 3 months, you will be able to see which day of the week is highest in terms of your units ordered. Now, once you know which day is the highest, you know which day to bid up on, right? So for example, if that was Sunday for the specific brand, you know that on Sunday you need to bid up. Now what you need to do is bid down, or make a budget rule or a bid rule for on your Amazon ad console, so that you are able to make changes to your budgets or bids during that time. Now, this rule that I'm showing you is done on Amazon Ad Console, where you're able to add a budget rule, but you can also do bid rules if you're using advanced software like Atom 11 for your day parting. In fact, bid rules are, day parting basis bids is a lot more recommended rather than just budgets. So here you're just able to say that, I want to increase my budget for a specific day by 20% or by 30%. And then the rest of the days, your budget will just go back to where it was before the budget rule started. Awesome. Now, that was a strategy where we looked at how can we increase sales as well as decrease wasted spend through one strategy. The second strategy that I'm going to call out is stop spending equal amount on every single product. Concentrate budget on winners. Now, what is a winner? A winner is something that meets your KPI. Let me take an example. If your KPI is increasing sales, then prioritize ASINs that are highest selling ASINs organically. If your KPI is increasing profitability, then prioritize ASINs that are highest profitability amongst all your ASINs. If your KPI is new to brand, which means growing your brand, then prioritize ASINs which have the highest NTV out of all your ASINs. You will get all of this data through either Amazon Marketing Cloud or your Seller Central business reports. And once you know that, okay, this is my KPI, then what you need to do is ensuring that you are disproportionately increasing your spend on ASINs that meet your KPI. Now, this is a small example that I love to show every single time. There is a brand which had about 100 ASINs. Their top ASINs were about 4 to 5 of them. And, when I say top ASINs, basically 50% of their sales was coming from those top 5 or 6 ASINs. Then they had ASINs, mid-level ASINs where they were spending an equal amount. And then the bottom selling ASINs, which is like, the majority of the bulk, which is about 80 to 90 ASINs, they were spending about 25% on those ASINs. Now, this is a very equal distribution of your ad spend. And in this case, I think they had a cost of about 16%. Now, what we changed was that we increased the advertising spend on top selling ASINs, and just by about 20%. Now, when we increase this by 20%, we saw an immediate improvement in ACoS to 14.1%. Now, 45% is not even recommended. We recommend that if you are prioritizing of higher selling ASINs and sales is your priority, you actually spend about 60% of your budget on the top 50%, ASINs that are bringing top 50% of the sales. So when we would increase this to 60%, ACoS is going to come down furthermore, right? And this is just one part of it. ACoS is not always your KPI, right? Sometimes your KPI is brand building. In those cases, ensure that you're able to increase your new to brand by prioritizing or spending disproportionately high on ASINs which are giving you the best NTV. Now, this is one part, right? Now, how do you figure out how much are you spending on a specific ASIN band? Now, this is a free tool. You can just scan the QR code, and this is a free tool here where you will be able to get a dashboard. You just have to upload your business report and your bulk sheet, and you will know how are you spending on each ASIN band. If you're spending low on your top selling band of ASINs, then you know exactly what action you need to take as soon as the audit is over. This audit literally takes seconds to run. So you just need your business report and your health files. Now, there is one more. So the retail signal that you're taking into account over here, like for example, in the previous one, the retail signal that you were taking into account was your peak sales day. The retail signal you are taking into account over here is your peak sales ASINs or peak profitability ASIN or peak NTV ASIN. All of this information is available either in your Seller Central or your brand or Amazon Marketing Cloud. I'm sorry about that. Perfect. Now, the third retail signal that I want to call out is stock. Did you know that if an ASIN goes out of stock, then once it comes back to stock, it takes 4 to 7 days to regain total sales volume. What this means is that let's assume you were selling 100 orders every single day. You go out of stock. Firstly, you go low stock, and then eventually you go out of stock. When you are back in stock on, let's say, Tuesday, then Tuesday is not when you start getting your 100 orders back. It will take 4 to 7 days for you to start getting 100 orders a day, or increasing that from there. The reason why Amazon reduces has this time to full sales to gain your full sales volume is because it doesn't trust that you're going to go, or how many times you're going to go out of stock. So out of stock is an absolute death penalty in Amazon, and you should avoid it as much as you can. So how we do it in retail aware softwares or retail aware Amazon advertising softwares is that you can use simple rule-based logics, like saying, if my days on hand is less than a certain number, then pause my product. Your automations run both ways. It pauses your ads when your ASIN is low stock, and then it unpauses it as soon as your ASIN is back in stock. Simple rule-based automation helps you, especially if you have a large catalog and you just absolutely cannot keep a track of all your ASINs being low stock or, almost out of stock. So until now, we have learned about 3 retail signals. The first retail signal was peak sales day, which is available in business report. The second retail signal we discussed was peak sales ASIN or peak profitability ASIN or peak NTB ASIN, which is data available in Amazon Marketing Cloud or your business report. And the third retail signal that we discussed was inventory. So this is an information available in your business, in your Seller Central, and you're using this to marry with ads and saying, if my inventory is low, I'm going to pause my ads. Now we're getting into the third strategy, which is using digital shelf to spot opportunities that your competitors are missing. Now let's discuss what kind of opportunities. The first one is PPC cannibalization. PPC cannibalization means that there is a keyword. There is a keyword where you had a 90% chance that the customer would have bought your product organically, but you still ended up showing your advertising. The customer clicked on your ad and then bought the product. So something which could have been a free sale for you now is a paid sale for you. Now, there is absolutely no way that you can figure out whether a sale that you got was cannibalized sale or was it something that could have come organically. But there are ways to reduce PPC cannibalization through just KPI management and then optimization according to that KPI. For example, if you are, spending more than $30,000-$40,000 a month on Amazon ads, then what you can start doing is increasing or reducing your target ACoS for branded keywords, for example. So branded keywords should not have the same target ACoS as all of the other keywords. What you can do is for all your branded campaigns, you can say my target ACoS is, let's say, 75% of the regular target ACoS. When your target ACoS is low, you're already bidding down on your branded keywords, and so you're not showing up as much on your ads as you would have liked, or as Amazon would like. Let me say that. The second thing that you can do is figuring out what is your search rank on important keywords, let's say your top 10 keywords. And once you do that, you can start reducing your bids on some of those keywords so that your appearance on top of search is limited for those keywords. And how do you do that? You can either use a retail aware software where you're able to figure out what is your search rank, and I'm going to pause this for a second. So you can either use a retail aware software which can actually do the search rank calculation for you, and then basis that change your bids. Or you can use free tools like import from, not a free tool, but very, very reasonable tools like import from web to actually track your search rank for important keywords. This video actually shows you how to find import from web on Google Chrome, install it as a Google Chrome extension, and then use it on your, so I'm just going to install it like that. It's just a few steps, literally takes about 15 to 20 seconds. And then you just have to add it on your Google Sheets. Now, once you activate your add-on, all you have to do is give it certain keywords that you want it to scrape every single day. And then once you have the search ranks every single day, you will be able to improve or change your bids as per your search ranks going forward. Now, this basically, of course, will be shared with you when we share the presentation with you. So in the interest of time, I'm going to go to the next slide. But basically, this video just shows you, just by putting in certain ASINs, what is the, once you put in your query, for example, we put in yoga mat over here, what is the search rank of all the different ASINs over here? And what you can do is basically just figure out what your ASIN is, and you are able to just schedule this query, and you're able to see every day what is your search rank. Basis that search rank, you're able to change your bids. Now, similar to this, you can also create scrapers to scrape your competitor price, because as soon as your competitors raise their price, that is your opportunity to bid up. Now, for example, what we've seen, I think that case study is not something that I've added over here, but I think we have a few case studies where we were able to identify that our competitors raised their prices on a specific day. We bid up on some of those keywords, and our conversion rate increased by some 45%. Our sales tripled for those 4 days. Of course, after some time, your sales stabilize. But I think that's what the Amazon game is all about, right? Just figuring out some of those opportunities or gaps that your competitor left out. And for that specific time period, you are able to increase your sales and get more out of less. The next strategy is actually about content, but you are using data to actually figure out what your next steps should be. Now, brand analytics, it actually reveals, whether what needs to change, whether it is your image that needs to change, or your product quality or content quality that needs to change, or is it, that your ads need to change. For example, there are 4 different quadrants that you can put your brand analytics data into. One is high click share and low purchase share. So people are clicking on it, but they're not purchasing your product, right? Now, when they're clicking on it and not purchasing, you are going to have to bid low and first improve your product over there, right? That means your content quality is fine, but something is wrong with the product. The next one is high click share, high purchase share. This is the best position to be in. So, you have a strong listing, you have a strong keyword. This is where you bid high and you maximize your ROI. You have low click share and low purchase share. Either this keyword is not relevant for you, or you are not indexed for this keyword. So I think what you need to change is your title name and ensure that you start indexing for this keyword first. And then your ads will come, because no matter how much you bid up on such keywords, which are low click share and low purchase share, until and unless Amazon recognizes that you are relevant for that keyword, your impressions on that keyword are going to be always low. And this is one thing that a lot of people don't understand. They will usually set up rules like saying, hey, if my impression is low, then increase my bid. But if you are low click share, low purchase share on a certain keyword, then it is highly possible that Amazon doesn't treat you as an important or a relevant ASIN for that keyword, and that's why it's not showing up your ad. So nothing will happen if you're bidding up here. I think what will change this is basically you improving your indexing. The last one, which is low click share and high purchase share, this is again a gold mine. This is basically where Amazon is telling you that show up more because people are going to buy more of this. So this is again another one where you can bid high and scale immediately because this is a hidden gem. As soon as you start bidding high, you can start getting more impressions and increase your click share, and your purchase shares can get even higher. Now, this is how you're using brand analytics data to bid up or bid down on your most important keywords. Now, this is, I actually don't want to call this a strategy, but basically what I want to say is that ensure that you are using the right metrics to understand your advertising performance. Now, someone said this and they put it in the right way. If you are only measuring your success with, let's say, only ACoS or only TACoS, then it's very easy to game the metrics. Some time back, I had written a piece in John Durkett's newsletter, and if you want that, please write back to me, and I would love to send that to you. Where where it said that it's so easy to game ACoS, right? If you tell me that I want to have an ACoS of 14%, it's so easy for me to just bid on branded keywords and get your ACoS to 14%, or it's so easy for me to just kind of turn off anything which has an ACoS of higher than 16%. and just ensure that I'm always at 14%. And that's why it's always important to have three or more or two or more metrics that you are measuring at the same time, so that you are not falling in the trap of a vanity metric. For example, here you see, right, the ACOS here in the first example is 19%, but the TACOS is 17%. Now, the difference between ACOS and TACOS is so low, it just tells me that majority of your sales is coming from advertising. And this is such a red flag, right? So you need to ensure that TACOS to ACOS is less than the 0.7 mark. The second case is basically where, your ACOS is 11%, but your TACOS is 3%, a very, very healthy case. It's actually not a very healthy case, a relatively healthy case. But let's assume the difference between ACOS and TACOS is so high that it may also mean that you're not spending enough and you're becoming over conservative. But relatively the difference being, the 0.5-ish difference is actually what you want to aim for, so that you know that you're not cannibalizing your advertising sales or your organic sales, and neither are you being conservative in terms of your advertising. Cool. So I think at the end of it, I wanted to kind of call out the 5 strategies that we discussed today. Retail signals driving your ads through: 1, spend more when you sell more. This should be absolutely your mantra. In 100% of the cases, when you hear about day parting as a strategy, people will tell you reduce your bids at night or reduce your bids when your conversion is low. But please use day parting as an aggressive strategy to increase your sales. You can bid high when you're when you are expected to sell more. That is your ticket to increasing your sales with advertising. Right ASIN, skew budget to winners and pause low stock. So you should be skewing your advertising spend to your KPIs, which means any ASIN which follows your KPIs should have disproportionately high amount of spend. For example, if there is an ASIN which is highest sales and sales is your KPI, then you spend disproportionately high on that ASIN. If profitability is your main KPI, then spend disproportionately high on ASINs which are most profitable, so on and so forth. Pause low stock, ensure that you are marrying your Seller Central data with your advertising and not running it in silos. If you have low stock, pause your ads so that you don't go out of stock, because once you go out of stock, Amazon is going to take about 4 to 7 days to bring you back to your total sales or full sales volume. The next one is being digital shelf aware. So if you have a problem of PPC cannibalization, track it and ensure that you are curbing the problem by either reducing your target ACOS for branded keywords, or just tracking your important search terms and figuring out where you are already ranking high and bidding down for those keywords. Secondly, if there is a way to figure out when your competitors are increasing their pricing, then that's again another golden ticket that you have to increase your sales, even if it's only for a few days. But hey, that's increased sales, right? The next one is content first. So read your brand analytics data. I think brand analytics is so underrated. Read your brand analytics data to understand when do you need content changes and when do you need to go aggressive in your ads. And lastly, just measure the right metrics. Going by a single metric is super, super easy to gain, and you will just be caught in the race of or the rut of vanity metrics. Ensure that you are comparing your metrics. If you're only measuring ACOS, definitely measure how much are you spending on branded search terms. But I think a very good measure of whether you are aggressive or conservative or balanced is the ratio of TACOS divided by ACOS, to figure out where do you lie on that scale. So that brings us to the end of today's session. If I were to just say one line, let retail signals drive your ads. Retail aware ads are the future. If you are only and only changing your bids to optimize your campaigns, you are already falling behind. Advertising is getting more and more expensive over time. And so ensuring that you are optimizing it well according to retail signals is super important. Atom 11 is a retail-aware advertising solution, is actually one of the only retail-aware advertising solutions on the market today. And if you are looking to get in touch with us, just scan the QR code over here and book a call with me. So that's it from me. I'm going to keep this on for a couple of minutes, and then in the meantime, please put in all your questions in the question and answer section, and I'll be getting to that ASAP. So I'll just keep this on for a couple more minutes. Even if you miss this, you can go to our website and just book a demo, and we will be getting in touch with you shortly. Just keep it down for another minute. Lovely. I'm going to come back to the main window and get into the Q&A. Do you automate any revenue metrics as retail signals? Can you please elaborate your question, Matt? Or when you say revenue metrics, you mean ad sales, or are you talking about business metrics? So I'm going to just look forward to your explanation of your question so that I can answer that. Do you only pause ads or also change bids and budgets? Kevin, this is a very good question. We only pause ads. The reason we do that is because we want to remove any kind of clashes with your bid automation rules. If you've set up bid automation rules for, if my ACOS is good or ACOS is bad, do that or do this, then having an inventory layer will just conflict with that. And so what we do is that we pause your ads. But what we are also bringing in on Atom 11 very soon is that if you want to just keep your ads ASIN on for a specific time period of the day, so you want to say, hey, you know what, if my inventory is low, just keep my ASINs on between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m., right? So that is something that is coming up, which will give you a greater amount of control. I hope I was able to answer your question, Kevin. Thanks for the playbook. Would you know the ideal tacos benchmarks for some big categories? Also, what percentage of ad spend should be DSP prospecting and DSP retargeting compared to search? I'll answer the second part of the question first. What percentage of ad spend should be DSP? It all depends on your KPIs. If your KPI is brand building, then you should be having a higher DSP spend. If your KPI is ACOS, then you should be having a high search percentage. But the rule of thumb or the benchmark is 10%. So basis this 10%, you increase if brand building is your priority, and you reduce a little bit if ACOS is your priority or immediate ACOS is your priority. I hope I was able to answer that question, Karthik. The second question you had asked was, would you know the ideal tacos benchmark for some big categories? Tacos benchmarks, tacos specifically is your KPI, not a benchmark KPI. Ideally, we see a tacos of around 10%. It can be higher depending on what is your KPI. If you are looking at higher sales, of course, you're going to be more aggressive. ACOS definitely has benchmarks across categories. And, of course, more competitive categories have very high ACOS. For example, skincare, supplement categories, they have very, very high ACOS, sometimes even higher than 50%. But then the high AOV categories, they have dream ACOS of like less than 10% sometimes. So it again depends on your average order value, and the aggressiveness the aggression that you're going ahead with for your ads. I hope I was able to answer your question, Karthik. How often are retail signals refreshed, and is it real time or near real time? Retail signals like inventory, for example, is real time on Atom 11. And I think being one of the only retail aware softwares in the market, we want to ensure that any signal that you need to catch is available in real time. I think the only near real time signal or is that we use is digital shelf, which we refresh once a day. And so if you are looking at ranking to change your bids, then that happens once a day. And we don't do it like every 15 minutes or 20 minutes because scraping is an incredibly expensive, um, you know, activity. So I think, yeah, thank you. I think the only question that I wanted to definitely answer was your question, Matt. Do you automate any revenue metrics such as, as retail signals? I think I was just thinking about your question when I was answering others. I think what you meant was revenue metrics like bestseller rank, or if my sales are increasing or sales are decreasing, then do this or do that. This is something which is work in progress on Atom 11. And basically, the reason why it is taking time is because most of the automation rules that we have or any tool has is basically based on campaigns, not on ASINs. Now, if you want to say that if this ASIN is losing sales, increase bids, you would have to identify which keywords correspond to that specific ASIN in a campaign, and only then increase bids for those specific keywords. And I think that is what is, just kind of limiting us on getting that automation. But I think that is something which is done manually. And mimicking that behavior is absolutely something that we want to ensure is available on Atom 11 as an automation. So it's work in progress. But I hope you understood what is the challenge in kind of bringing that in. Are there any other questions in the meantime that I can answer? Please feel free to ask the questions over here. Retail aware advertising as a topic is not discussed enough. We are going to be repeating this webinar sometime in a couple of months, or maybe get 2 to 3 months, with more data and more playbooks. But this is a new topic. This is something that not a lot of people talk about in the space. So it's important that if you have any questions, you ask me now, or of course, please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn and ask your questions over there, or just book a call with us. While I'm waiting for more questions, one of the things that Karthik touched upon was DSP. Very recently, we had Amazon India actually invited us to give a webinar on Amazon DSP, and this was one of their highest rated webinars so far in the history of Amazon Ads webinars. So if you are interested in either getting a copy of that webinar or just attending it, please let me know in the comment section here, and we would love to send that over to you. Lovely. All right, then I think, sorry, Karthik has one more question. What percentage of sales is advertised generally? If that's 10% of sales is usually advertised. If that percentage is increasing, are you seeing instances where brands have started pulling spends back in Amazon? You mean pulling spends back from Amazon or pulling spends into Amazon? Because we have consistently been seeing 10% of sales being attributed or putting back into ad spends. We haven't seen a decline or increase in that number yet. This is just sponsored ads. We have also seen people or the bigger brands now spending about 10% of their PPC into DSP. Thank you. Awesome, Karthik. Love it. Well, I think if that's all the questions, then I'm going to give you about 10 minutes back. I hope you enjoyed the session, and we're going to be posting the webinar on our website and also sharing a copy with you for your future use. And we're going to be seeing you again next month with a guest webinar this time. And until then, happy advertising.